Welcome on in everyone to a brand new Total War Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires campaign. Update 4.2 has arrived, and with it bringing a myriad of changes to a bunch of different factions, as well as some new additions to the Shadows of Change DLC. So we are going to be showing off the Mother Ostankya faction this time. Thank you all so much for everyone who did cast their vote for the overall Kislevite champion, and then the secondary vote that decided that this is going to be a cinematic campaign. So everything on the actual campaign map itself is going to be the same as always, but we will be having the battles be in the replay. That way things look a bit more cinematic, and hopefully we can see more of the overall action with less of my frantic clicking about. If you want to see the actual changes and everything that's coming to 4.2 in detail, I will have that linked in the description below. And Mother Ostankya herself actually had a pretty awesome ebook that has come out that is going to give us a little bit more backstory behind her and the horrors that she unleashes on those that disobey her warnings. So we will get right on to it. The reclusive Ungol hag Mother Ostankya travels far from the Kislevite homeland to discover trinkets for her potential incantations. I think previously this said something about punishing the Dark Elves for continuously raiding Kislev and kind of crippling them and making it harder for them to actually stand against the Dark Forces, so she's out to punish them. I know a lot of people don't necessarily like this start as far as lore goes, but in terms of gameplay, it wouldn't make sense to have all four of the Kislevite Lords so packed in one spot. So if, in terms of, since she came last, she's going to be the one that gets moved somewhere else, I could argue, or I could see arguing that Boris gets moved to the Darklands instead of Ostankya, maybe switch their positions, and now that the Shadows of Change is actually in. But if anything, someone has to be over there. That way we have a little bit of variance in the campaigns. Before her starting army, we've got a little bit of a change. We've got one of the brand new Kislevite units, the Kislevite Warriors, which are a tier 1 halberd infantry, which is pretty awesome. They've got a low armor, pretty decent leadership actually at 60. Normal speed, bad attack, and a really, really high melee defense with some armor-piercing anti-large attack. These halberd warriors are very similar to the peasant spears. They got 120 warriors too. Yeah, they're gonna be, these guys are gonna be great. We've got 2 of them and 1 unit of Akshina warriors now. And elemental incarnate beasts, 1 things in the woods, 2 giant spiders, and then 1 cave bat. Very, very excited for the big giant wendigo and the bale wolves. Faction effects, the Winds of Magic power reserve capacity is going to be +1 for every resource producing building, so we're going to be snatching up everything very greedily out there in the wilds. If you have it, we are going to take it from you. A global recruitment duration, -1 turn for incarnate elemental beast units. Melee attack +8 when fighting against armies that spread corruption for all of our armies. Melee defense +10 for spider hatchlings and the giant spiders to give them a little bit more of a bump to make them actually viable in the medium to late game. For Ostankya herself, she'll have an additional 30% targeting range for her spells. Enemy Winds of Magic power reserve is going to be drained by 5 per turn in the local region. Her whole army will have magical attacks, and all of her hag witches will have a 50% reduction to their base miscast chance, which is fantastic. Their spells will be blowing up in their face much less often. Ostankya herself also has a brand new lore of magic in the lore of hags, and I cannot wait to try that out. We will be basically jumping in here together. I have not done any testing. Wanted to go in as fresh as possible. So yes, we're starting over here in kind of the southern portion of Nagaron. We'll be facing off with Marathi very quickly. And then for her lore, as sworn by the common folk across the Oblast, the horrifying legend of Mother Ostankya is real. While some consider her an apostate, others regard her as the guardian of Kislev, who metes out her wrath against any with ill intention against the land, be they Kislevite, foreign, or supernatural. She is rumored to have once been a powerful ice witch who long ago fell foul of the ice court, or are such legends a mockery manifested by her hatred for the Covenant's strictures. Yet in times of war, still the hag comes to Kislev's aid, peering beside the motherland's ranks, especially those left unsupported by the most rabid of the Ursunite faith, commanding her cauldron's potent shadow spirits to hex foes in unspeakable ways. Yet she is possibly the widow of Kislev, so basically the god that is slumbering in Kislev. There's several kind of origin stories for Kislev itself. One of them being Aryanka, I think, who is slumbering in Prague, if I'm not mistaken, and the other being that, well, they've changed it kind of a bit to that Ostankya is much, much more ancient. She's probably never actually been human. Kind of similar to Ariel or Orion. So she's kind of like an ancient primordial spirit that's always kind of been here in Kislev. Either way, let's stick to our settings. We're going to be playing on Legendary very hard for that challenge. No Crisis is on because it actually is more of a threat to the other factions than ourselves, so it'll kind of just wreak havoc on our foes. And we'll be playing with the AI stats modifier on 0, so no buffs, no negatives, so that way all of the units perform exactly how they're supposed to. You don't want Skaven Slaves outperforming Dwarf Warriors in a fight, that just doesn't make sense. Let's come on back to Kislev, grab the Hag Mother herself, and let's begin.
Every winter, as the nights draw close and mists begin to thicken, the people of Kislev tell their children a tale always told in a whisper. From the dark heart of the woods, the Hag Mother watches. For those who bring destruction to the forests of the motherland, do so unto themselves. For every injustice comes retribution. Mother Ostankya knows no mercy. From the smoke, she will rise to claim her price in blood. So heed the warning of the wise, or be lost to the mists of the wood.
The wise respect the land and avoid bringing my hexes to their door.
Yes, but the Druki do not appear to be that clever. So for our path to victory here, let's get rid of you. Mother Ostankya must obtain 6 forbidden hexes to unleash upon the world, each guarded by those intent on keeping those powers away from her. Claiming the first 5 hexes uncovers the 6th and most terrible hex, the ultimate punishment for Kislev's enemies, the Malediction of Ruin. Successfully performing this final hex leads to campaign victory. Hexes will reveal themselves as Mother Ostankya uses Spirit Essence, gathered up from winning battles, purging corruption, and occupying magical forests, in turn powering her Witch's Hut incantations and the hexes themselves. Excellent. So our first mission is to engage the Bleak Hulls. The cruelty of the Dark Elves continues to threaten the people of Kislev, with their forays from the Land of Chill growing in both frequency and savagery. It's time to give them something to fear on home soil. Make their armies bleed until the tales of your sorcery take root in their nightmares. Once we defeat this first army, we'll gain the Purification Chant, which will just let us wipe out all of the corruption in a target settlements province, which is pretty good. Alright. So Ostankya will also get access to the Ice Court. Funnily enough, we don't have any change to this. Would still like to see this changed over for both her and the Patriarchs, where for Ostankya, it's for the Hag Mothers, or the Hag Witches, rather, and then the Patriarchs for Gestalten. But until then, we shall make do. Do we start out with a Hag Witch of Beasts still? Oh, look at her. Kalika Koshka. So now you are still a Beast Mage. We've got one with Nature for more growth, a chunky bit of armor, and some resistance in forest battles, and then a Woodsman is pretty good, but it only affects trees, so it's not quite as good as Strider. Upheaval of Earth. Oh, you get the Assault of Stone, huh? That's pretty cool. Then, of course, all of your beast spells, and then all of the Hag Witches have their own kind of unique... Is it just activated on her automatically? Yeah, they have their unique trait. Hers is the Koljuna's Spirit. So she has a summon of kind of spectral things in the woods, which have been, I changed up a little bit where they're actually ethereal now, but there's less of them than there were before. So I think you get 10 units, they're fully ethereal, and then, so they've got all the armor piercing and that kind of goodies like that. She's also going to be tough, so extra armor and melee defense. I guess that's not bad. Allow her to survive combat a little bit better here. There's the mother herself. Mother Ostankya looks great. Though it seems to be there's some glowing issues with the skull wand here. We've got Bolzerka's Wrath, which gives us the Wiggly Spirit Bear, which I have still not quite figured out, but it is quite an interesting animation. This looks like a... Oh yeah, here's our new Lore of Hags. We start off with the Witch Broth, which is a tier-shaped attack, which is going to give the Witch Broth contact. It heals them? So is it heal friendly units? Heals friendly units and deals damage to the enemies, I believe. Because yeah, there's the blessing version of it. Oh no, you can switch them. Never mind. The blessing is the overcast version, because it costs a little bit more. You can use it as an expanding tier-shaped heal. That's pretty dang good. Or just a non-armor piercing and magical poison, kind of similar to the Plague Breath. You got Fate of Interlopers for friends get resistance to spells and enemies lose leadership. That's not bad. Not fantastic, but not bad. Whispers in the Woods. Speed, charge speed, vigor recharge, strider, and unstoppable or unspottable. And then for enemies, it's just gonna slow them down. Moderate stationary area effect, cool. From what I saw in the animations, this is actually formed like shadow trees up from the ground. Curse of the Ancient Witch. So on enemies is 48 block chance reduction and negative 60 armor, and it will spread. Okay. And then for allies, it also spreads and it gives them magical attacks, which we already have with Ostankya's army, and then a pretty chunky buff to reload skill and damage. We got Vengeance of Spirits, which is an area damage that also silences enemies. Excuse me? Do we not get to see what silence does? Oh yeah, we can. This unit is unable to activate abilities or cast spells. Hello. Well, we know what we need to use on all of the Druki here. They are going to rue the day, and on allies, it is going to actually cause damage to them, but charge up their power and give them 40% spell mastery.
Mother Ostankya this, mother that. Cowards.
I love all of Ostankya's voice lines. I cannot wait to be back. Before we did this on the Realms of Chaos map, so didn't get quite as much attention, and it wasn't as fun of a campaign because it was much faster. We blasted our way through. Cursed Cauldron is looking like a... So it starts doing damage and then does a whole... I don't know, we'll have to see how that works. It's a strike area, so it looks like it's a bombardment. And then otherwise it will... Oh, you can make it so it doesn't harm friendly troops at all. That's pretty insane. Costs a lot, but... being able to drop that on a squad of lowly armored Kislevites and not worrying about it is pretty great. Alright, we'll quit looking at all the skills and actually get to the things.
You waste my time.
All of our stuff isn't going to actually open up until we actually win a couple battles here, so let's put Talika into Ostankya's army. And then right before we activate this battle, I will show off the graphic settings we are rolling with. They might change as the campaign goes on, but I will do my best to let you all know if that does happen. Alright, so we grab Ostankya, who's got her Kislevite war... Can't wait to try these Kislevite warriors. And then we've got our old Spider Hatchling and Cave Bat. Oh, and they actually made the Snow Leopard a Tier 2 monster. That's great. We'll have our brand new Frost Worm at Tier 3, along with all of our bears. That is fantastic. They got only 2 extra units, Kislev, because of the Lore of Hags, which does make sense. For kind of an additional challenge, we are going to make Ostankya's army only Kislevite warriors, Akshina, and then beasts from the woods, and of course the elementals she can summon on in. So how this boy used to be a completely unbreakable monster with bonus versus large. Now he's got bonus v infantry and is an elemental, so if his leadership breaks, it will disintegrate away, very similar to a demon. So we'll have to keep an eye on their leadership. They're not nearly as powerful as they used to be. We do now have, though, the Howl of the Great Beasts. Negative 8 leadership is great if we use it at the right time. Alright, Estrella. Wrathbringer, you are. She's got fireballs. We've got Witch Elves, which no longer cause rampage. They've got the Witch Brew activated ability now, which will allow them to get some hefty damage buffs. And then they will be able to actually have rampage, but they don't just have it naturally on their attacks anymore. With the Madness of Cain, they've got Poison and Witch Brew, which they can use one time. We definitely want to make sure we're filling them with arrows. War Hydra. Real excited to fight you. If you've watched our Malekith campaign at all, Auto Resolve really doesn't like these guys. Alright. The first battle. Let it begin. The arrogant Druki should have left Kislev well enough alone, and now we have to punish them. These Wendigo hands are rated E for everyone, and we'll take a look at some of our brand new units while Ostankya and the Hag Witch take off. We'll actually pause real quick because they are going to get right to the action. So we have the Beowulf's-driven carriage Mother Ostankya, who is an artillery chariot. She is going to be blasting out almost like a Cauldron of Souls style effect each time she attacks, and you'll see kind of shadowy tendrils and things jump out of the cauldron when she is in melee. The Hag Witch is a much less dangerous in melee, but has kind of a shotgun-style blast effect. With her broom here, she'll kind of bat ethereal energies at the enemy. She looks just fantastic. Old gnarled women of the woods of Kislev. Got our brand new Kislevite warriors, who are actually quite fantastic. Details on them are popping in quite close, which is a little unfortunate, but they still look great. Was a little bit worried about early on having just kind of a brand new, very early tier non-hybrid unit for Kislev, but these guys have more units there than the normal models. I think it's the exact same as the Peasant Spearmen for Grand Cathay. And also, we'll just go ahead since slow-mo now. We've got our Cave Bats, which are very, very similar to the undead version. They just don't crumble away, they will flee, which makes them not quite as good, but you won't lose as many, so that is the upside. Back over to the big Wendigo, the elemental thing in the woods, the incarnate of beasts, which some are saying probably shouldn't necessarily be with Kislev. It's a little bit strange that it is a normal roster. I think there should be a little bit of a series of unlocks to actually utilize them in combat, since they are kind of the greatest incarnation of Gur. You kind of have to be a super, super powerful beast wizard. Got our things in the woods, which Mother Ostankya has bound to her will. Creatures of the warp, but not necessarily creatures of chaos. Trying to figure out if we have anyone else hiding somewhere off on this one. Yes, we had our Akshina up in the woods, since they have a Hydra for this first battle, and I knew that they would try to target, since the AI really, really likes taking down your highest value infantry unit, or whatever they find is highest value but not the most dangerous. They will commit almost all of their resources in dealing with that and ignoring the rest of your troops. The plan was for this battle, let the bats go up front and kind of screen any fireballs that she might have, fireballs and the War Hydra's flaming breath. Meanwhile, I guess we did have our spiders as well. Let's take a look at them. Giant spiders are purple demons. Actually really, really solid, even not in Ostankya's squad because of that armor piercing and how fast they move. That's a pretty solid unit. Enroll the Carriages of Death. We finally spotted our first enemies here. And Ostankya, as soon as she is in range, is going to start unleashing the Casket of Souls style blast. Not many of them actually make it to the woods there, but first cast of Hag Magic goes down. Watch you see how much damage that got. It is very solid. Shoots 3 shots. Not quite as potent as the Casket of Souls, but it seems to be more accurate. The spell we were using there is called Witch Brew. It doesn't actually have any armor piercing effect, but even there, on that pretty medium armored Druki, it does very solid damage. while we were watching that, we missed that the bats just dodged the War Hydra's breath like champions. And they're going to continue to try to screen for our Hagwitch. You can see the shotgun effect there. Wasn't working so much. She got hit with a fireball, and we can't take too many of those. That's pretty cheap Winds of Magic for a good bit of damage on our skating witch mothers. Yeah, that's an insane amount of damage. Lore of Hags is very impressive so far, both visuals and in damage. We've only seen the one spell. Anyone Ostankya chooses to shoot is getting us heaps of value. We haven't even engaged anyone else in the fight, and as you can see, the Hydra is going to start acting rather odd here in a moment. I believe it knows our Akshina are back here, who they're starting to move in towards the fray. Now we've got everyone else hiding in the woods. Plan was to try to keep them back there for when the Hydra arrives. Fireball coming on in to try to cook some Kislevites. Oof. Sending a few Nikolais to their doom. They'll be fine. Elemental Incarnate wading into the fight now. Those big claws working. And it has a constant Murder of Crows effect. The name of the spell is escaping me at this point in time, but still dropping that. Let's see if it actually will show us here. The Flock of Doom. The Incarnate Flock of Doom. 8 to 16 damage a second. Not bad at all. Hydra is now... Well, no one really knows what it's doing. I guess it's going to the edge of the map. It's going to retreat. Not sure. It just goes to hang out over here. I think it knows these guys are over here in the vicinity, but it doesn't know exactly where, so... But I'm not sure. We've got our bats shutting down the enemy spellcaster, who is continuing to throw fireballs at whoever she can, but it looks like the Druki have broken. So we're just going to kind of let these bats tear her down. You don't really need much more than a single unit of cave bats to go after a Druki sorceress. They're not great in melee. And the big rattlesnake is... I don't know, it may have lobotomized it before the battle. It's got problems. So we're going to try to send over our anti-large, our Akshina, and our Elemental Incarnate, which is no longer anti-large. Instead of friendly fire coming down from Ostankya, we're going to let the Hag Mother, Hag Witch, and Ostankya ride in on their battle carts and deal with this sorceress. That's actually an animation I haven't seen yet. I've seen the explosion, and there's a set of, like, all the spider legs that come out of the... Here. Bird bombing left and right. It is Angry Birds time. He's getting annihilated. Ostankya is actually fantastic in melee. Fleeing for the hills, we can have any of our units chase her off, and now it's just the Hydra, who is rattling its tail all angrily over here in the corner. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with this fella. Rather quiet, too. Hydras look great, though, don't they? Not even a new unit. Smoogity, the Incarnate, I'm going to have him move past the Hydra so we can attack it from behind. Let the Akshina continue to actually land shots with their crossbows. Summon in the ethereal things in the woods. You can see they're very cosmic looking. We see these stats on these guys. They have no armor. They actually have 10 models now, or I guess they have 12 models now. But they do lose health really, really quickly. Definitely a downgrade from what they used to be, and I actually don't think they have the same... They will flee instead of kind of fading away like the other elemental units, like the other things in the woods are. I'm not sure why they do. Dropping the Goulias to keep our big boy healed up, and it looks like the Hydra's had enough. I realized we had the passive Howl attack here on the big Wendigo a little bit too late, which is going to be dropping that leadership and speed. Would have just scared off the Hydra a little bit faster, but we're going to continue to hunt, gather up its bits for some lovely spells, and that's the battle. Bit of a wonky battle there, but they have been punished for their crimes, and we can move on to taking their settlements. We didn't really lose anyone, so I guess we're going to go ahead and execute them before the extra spear doesn't. Oh, what happened to my, our sound? Excuse me. We're going to skip through that. I will... Yeah, you know what happened is... Because I'm a professional. get in here. Turn the sound off so we could listen to some music during the battle, and forgot to turn it back on. So apologies for that. We get to miss out on the purification chant where they got to talk about it. I'll be your voice actor, don't worry. There are places where the Coven's magic seeps from the land, fouled by the blight of corruption. Daughters must answer with a purifying chant to purge the rot, at least for a time. Exactly the same. But now we have the Purging Corruption chant, in which the tendrils of corruption have taken root deep within the land, befouling the very soil. But evil must be eradicated if the natural order is to ever be restored. Enact the Purification chant. Only then can we begin to cleanse this land of the Scourge of Chaos. Once discovered, a hex is performed by left-clicking on its icon, and then, on the main campaign interface, selecting a valid target and confirming via the prompt, which will give us a little grip of 20 essence. I think that replaces how much you have to spend to use it, so we're going to go ahead and do that right away here. So that way we can also start casting stuff with the Witch's Hut. So I'm going to activate, cost 20, and you get a refund right away. Go ahead and activate that here on the Bleak Hold Fortress, dropping the Chaos Corruption down to 0.
Salyak, Mother, Widow, Blessed Saint.
Thank you, Salyak. Words of the Purification chant echo across the land, burning all traces of corruption from the soil. No longer shall wickedness taint the earth here. The balance of nature has been restored. Indeed. We can continue on our way. Witch Brew was fantastic. The animation for this is awesome. For a brand new spell lore, it looks great. Very, very well done, whoever was on the team at working on the lore of hags. I am going to go ahead and grab... Can we make it to... Oh, easily. In that case, we'll go ahead and pop in Inspiring Presence after we grab Witch Brew. We'll go Witch Brew first, Inspiring Presence, Root Marcher, and then continue on down her magic line. We can try out the new Lore of Hags. As far as Talika is concerned, let's give her the spread controls. We don't have to worry about putting down rebellions left and right. Mama Stanky's got the Star Iron Ring, which gives her 10% ward save, which is fantastic. Let's get that sleigh in gear. Alright, and another fairly pathetic group of Dark Elves stands against us. They should have left Kislev well alone. We've only got the one unit of Dark Shards, which even our wounded bats can handle no problem. We're going to be using these cave bats as mostly just completely expendable screen for Ostankya and her Hag Mother, so they'll go up front, make sure no one else gets shot by Dark Shards. Although with this, I don't think we're going to have too much trouble. A artillery chariot, as you have seen, is horrifyingly effective against the Dark Elves. Please say we get to fight inside the settlement? No, but there is lots of water here, so these slow Dark Elves are going to be slowed down further by the magical forest we can grow on up out of the ground. This should be fun. Let's get to the slaughter. Alright, and for this battle, I will give a fair warning. The water has all sorts of weird visual bugs. I have tried a whole bunch of different settings here and a couple different ways here on this. I'm going to pause it real quick while everyone starts moving into position. The water is going to, as you see, it kind of flickers a bit. I have changed all sorts of things. I've fixed a few of the water flickers where you just have to turn off. Let me show you real quick. You come on in and turn off the screen space reflections, and that fixed up a lot of the water flickering, but for whatever reason on this map, it doesn't have any effect whatsoever, and nothing I have done actually has fixed it. So if you know of any kind of fixes for the flickering water, do post those in the comments so that we can all try to fix that together. For now, though, you'll just have to try to bear with me. I'm not going to continue. I'll try my best not to continue to comment on the flickering the entire time, but just so you all are aware, I am myself aware, and I just couldn't make it happen. So let's get this battle going. We've got Ostankya and all of the beasties together. Going to use the cave bats, same as last time, as a bit of a screening force for these Dark Stars if we really need to. But we can use Ostankya and the Big Incarnate in our other smashy units to just be a huge nuisance, especially since we've got our two artillery teams here who are going to skate on in and start causing all sorts of havoc. As long as they don't get in each other's way. Bit of a traffic jam. There we go. They figured it out. Dark Shard's going to start firing on the cave bats, luckily missing for the most part. Looks like a couple of them redirected in air to hit their proper targets, some Witchbird dropping in. Figure these spearmen are their most important targets for us to go for, since all of our damage is becoming from our large targets. Ostankya charging through the ranks. Some pretty solid damage. She has lost a little bit of her overall melee potential from the original, from pre-4.2, but it's not that much. Still is an absolute monster, even without all the artillery damage. Especially with this new lore of magic. It is so much more powerful than the lore of shadows. At least that first lore of shadows spell. Spears are already running for the hills. The dark shards are too, which spells their doom. Things in the woods appear, and you'll see how fast, look how fast they lose health. Yes, they spawn in the middle of some bleak swords, but with all of their bonuses versus infantry and extra physical resistance, they should really not take damage that fast. Probably just because of being overwhelmed due to a lack of numbers. Much more useful as a kind of on-the-fly flanking force. The Elemental Incarnate is now dancing around in their captain unit, and the spiders are going to join the fray. It's going to be a bad time for all, and if you'll notice people aren't exploding into giblets, I've also forgotten to change this back over. The small wizard was watching the other day, and I turned off all of the blood effects and the exploding people so that it was more cartoony and fine for her to watch. I just forgot to turn back on the explosion, so let me know, do we want to keep it as just dudes flying around with some blood effects, or do we want full visceral carnage? Either way, that is a win. We are just running them off at this point, dropping Goulias, some delicious soup for the good spiders. Some pretty awesome rundown animations. Just throw themselves at the elves. Lovely. That is another victory. And another nightmare for the Druki. The Bleakholds didn't even stand a chance. We've got a Scroll of Aramar there, which is going to allow us to drop leadership by 24. Scroll describing a dread spell that fills the foe's mind with images of their own worst nightmares. Like standing in a really long line. So we can sack the settlement for 5 Spirit Essence, or just loot knock 5 for 3. Let's go ahead and just loot knock 5.
No longer shall Kislev starve while these have such riches.
Exactly. We're here to steal from them because they steal from others. We've got a new trinket. Combine it with another in the Witch's Hut to create an incantation and bless your units or curse the enemy on the battlefield. We shall indeed. Into the Witch's Hut we go, where we can then combine up these blessings and curses, so you get all of the different trinkets down here, and then you can combine them, and then depending on which you do combine, you will gain a different blessing or curse. So you're very limited early on, but when you fight specific enemies, so the Incisor of Man, or forming an alliance, so either you form an alliance with, or defeating an Empire army, and you get a tooth that you can use to, I guess, create more incantations. And that is kind of the same with all of them. So, fighting the Greenskins, Bretonia, Wood Elves, so on and so forth. Nakaran Spines. Exactly. And all of the buffs and debuffs are pretty insane. So the only one that we're allowed to make currently is the Whiff of Madness, which is going to drop an enemy's melee defense by 12 and cause them to rampage. So this means once they drop below, I think it's 70% health, they will then rampage, where if there's a unit within 150 meters, they will just charge directly at them. Otherwise, they will now run around in circles like a doof. It changed rampage a little bit. We've got a Cold One's Fang that is going to be dropping charge bonus by 25%. And then the Urson Totem, which is leadership by 8. So a treasured relic from the homeland tundra, and not one readily sacrificed, but needs must. Then the Cold One Fang is a fang of single-minded predator, a hunter that pursues its quarry until the final strike. That's for our Druki defeats.
Urson's wounded spirit.
We're going to be in here in the Witch's Hut
ranges the
every single turn creating
Here,
incantations.
Taste his heart. Understand.
Taste his heart and understand. The Force of Arnheim, where they already had built us a lovely woodsman's hut, which will give us some income, timber, recruitment cost reduction for all of our sleds, income from farms faction-wide, and then more Winds of Magic Power Reserve. Beautiful. We'll repair all of this. And then I am going to actually take 3 turns for the Caverns of Silk. We'll be putting that in here in Arnheim right away, so the plan with Ostankya's army is she's going to have nothing but beasts, and of course the kind of peasant children that she would be offered up in kind of sacrifice by the villagers that would be kind of given her protection. So we'll be just getting all of the Kislev warriors in Akshina with her, and then we'll be recruiting up a Druzhina, which is the new lord type. There we go, the Druzhina. Oh, look at him. Look at the sunken hollow eyes. So he's going to be either an intelligent Druzhina, or we've got a determined one. Neither of those are very good. Strong is fantastic. Armor, attack, and strength. We are going to ignore the Boyars, though, because it doesn't really make all that much sense with Ostankya, not yet at least. We'll recruit our first Boyar in once we actually make contact with Kislev, which we'll be sending a hero over there to do so as fast as we can. So let's grab the... Ugh, neither of these are very good. We'll grab the determined Grigor.
Druzhina.
Druzhina. He's got an awesome looking axe. And the largest compound bow I've ever seen. Fair enough. So I was kind of expecting you to be a hand pistol when we initially were kind of speculating, if you will, on what would be coming with the Druzhina, or if the Druzhina would be coming at all. But he's got bonus V large on his bow there. How much? A 100? Excuse me? I mean, that seems pretty good. And then he's got a dedication, so we can either be a servant of the Tsar, extra relations with Kislev and some spell resistance for his army. Veneration of the Bear gives him Urson's Roar. Well, I think this is the ability that was for your prologue prince. That's fantastic. I mean, the charge bonus isn't the biggest impact in the world, but if you're rolling with a whole bunch of bears, it would be. Speaks to the Forest. Would allow him to have some regeneration with Hag Witches and Vanguard Deployment. That's going to be the one we use then. Paul's Judgment. Okay, we've got a magical arrow. And then you've got more reload time reduction for horse archers. And then charge bonus for giant spiders. You make the beast stronger. That's great. Man of the people, so we're going to have lots of Kossars in this army. And then Tal's Fury. So this is very much the bridge between the Great Orthodoxy and the Ice Court. Very cool. He's also got Restock, which will be great once we start getting little Groms. Cursed Frontier. Don't go into the woods today. No, seriously. Don't. Then he ended up with Heroic Killing Blow. Some amazing skills here. Sweet. Well, welcome, Grigor. You're going to be traveling with Ostankya and soaking up some extra experience. Let's grab... What is 50
I did
interlopers
not know
do?
if the legends were true.
It legitimately just drops leadership every time you cast it for 11 seconds? That's insane. Let's grab Inspiring Presence for that trickle of experience for her and her other hero.
Help.
And we'll probably swing back around and grab the passive.
Only bring the best.
Only bring the best. And if you do so, we grab a bunch of spiders. Magical attacks. It's crazy. They don't even have enough. They don't have as much attack as the Kislevite warriors. We're gonna grab a bunch of spiders though for the Ooga Booga factor. No Kossars. Those guys are gonna be with the Druzhina. As much as this is gonna hurt me. Have to keep this building to keep the spider hatchlings. We're gonna keep it for at least a turn or two. And we are going to build in the roadhouse up here in the Bleakhold Fortress. Start that growth train rolling. Reason I'm not gonna upgrade this to the Cavern of Silk is it'll take 3 turns, and hopefully we will have already claimed Arnheim by 3 turns. And even if not, we'll still have destroyed the building right afterwards, and it'd be a waste of money. Alright, what's our research going to choose? Hills from the Woods is usually what I start with Ostankya. Bonus versus infantry for cave bats. It doesn't make them that much better, but it is funny. Charms above the door. Nope, it's going to be Sympathetic Undergrowth. This gives your Hakshina ambushers snipe, which is just the best. And it drops movement range for enemies, increases your own, and gives you more speed. It does use up some of our Spirit Essence, so we'll have to yoink some away from the enemies, but I think we've got plenty of those nearby. Alright, let's check our diplomacy. I don't think we have anyone nearby that's willing to do any kind of trading or anything like that. Now we're on our own for now. Alright, Grigor. Let's do this.
Kislev owes you a great debt.
Alright, Sympathetic Undergrowth. For those who offer the correct level of respect, the forest provides a path. Those who do not are never heard of or seen again. I think he had a voice line that was directly associated with Ostankya, unless he says that for everyone. We've got a vodka distiller now. This will put hairs on, well, everywhere you can grow hairs, and several places you can't. Most probably. One extra control for growing hair.
Kislev from chaos.
Can't quite reach Arnheim, but let's go on ahead and come out of the settlement for a bit of scouting.
Spirits, I see. Those left
In my
behind
testing, there's
after
always
last
a army over here building up. It's not a weak army, but it's nowhere near as strong as Ostankya. We will give Velika here the wild form upgrade to kind of unlock the rest of our spellbook. And then we're gonna have Grigor do some sneaky maneuvers.
Claim it for the
Oh, we can't
Ice
raid.
Queen.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go into
They do not remember me.
in camp
The
stance.
Ice
Come
Queen.
into staying in our
What
territory.
was I to
Of
them?
course.
It is better they forget.
I'm going to have Ostankya
If I do not
disappear.
wish to be seen, I shan't.
Exactly. She should have a higher base ambush chance since she is basically nature itself.
Defender of Kislev.
And then we'll give you a couple of archers there, Grigor, whom is going to be renamed immediately to our first
Mother
Heaven of the campaign.
get you, they say.
Kevin Ivkin.
It's
Welcome, good sir.
only for those
Hopefully you survive.
the motherland.
Alright, so the plan is, this looks like a juicy target that's currently recruiting, and you shouldn't be able to resist coming over to give them a smack on the forehead. They're quite aggressive, the Druki. And as far as our next tech goes, let's go ahead and snag cold storage. Give us some replenishment and growth.
The land, the tales, the cities.
Exactly. And then we'll grab the Karxamaz here for even more growth, and Gotrek and Felix might appear, which grabbing them early on would be fantastic. I think they're completely free to upkeep. We'll get another whiff of madness for our upcoming battle. He won't even know what hit him.
I did not know if the legends were true.
Oh yeah, he definitely has voice lines that are in conjunction with Ostankya. I didn't know the legends are true. Well, welcome, honor guard of Ostankya. And the moron has moved on in. However, he didn't quite get ambushed, but it was too late, and we can attack them all the same. So he does have a couple of Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, so these guys are not... They're no joke. They don't outrange Mother Ostankya, though, so we can basically turn tail and fill them full of arrows. And by arrows, I guess explosive shadows. Let's grab a whiff of madness, drop it down on one repeater crossbow. I wouldn't mind using it on both. I think we should be able to deal with them pretty quickly. Let's go ahead and do the other on one of these hand bows here. They quite often turn and run for the hills, and they're pretty good at defending themselves. Make sure we defeat this army here. I don't even really think we need both of these. Let's just use the one whiff of madness on not the crossbows, but the hand bows. Force them out of a position they want to be in. And we can kind of just stick in this choke point. And even if we want to, kind of kite units out along into the lake. Alright, Exarian. Prepare to be punished. Alright, and now a proper test for Ostankya's magics. And we get to try out our first trinkets here. And you can kind of see they're already rampaging. I thought we would have to wait for a health threshold, but they're already going to start running around like absolute lunatics, and we can take full advantage. So as soon as Ostankya or any other unit comes into their radius, it's 150 meters, they will then immediately lock onto them and start sprinting towards them with murderous intent. We've got all our spiders or things in the woods and things like that hiding over here in the woods, sticking to their name. Rakshina a little ways off to the side because they can actually hold their own in a fight, very similar to those halberdiers. They just don't have nearly the same amount of defense. Meanwhile, Ostankya and our Hag Witch are going to cause all of the problems they can, just do as much damage as possible before the initial clash. Because while we do have some pretty scary units, things like the Spider Hatchlings are just going to be just sheerly outclassed by Black Arc Corsairs and even the likes of Dread Spears, so the more damage we can get, the better we are going to do when the clash actually happens. Still keeping our bats up front in case we need them. I think they're going to have a pretty bad time this battle here. Already starting to blast away at the Rampage units, though. The Hag Witch's spell blast, I think, is, or at least in my testing, has not the best chances of hitting. The accuracy on it's pretty meh. You do need to be probably having a considerable high ground to get good effect. It also might be better against large single entities. What do you all think from your testing? Ostankya and the Hag Mother are destroying this poor group of Corsairs. Seems like they're completely unable to use their handbows because of the Rampage, which is just fantastic and something we are going to absolutely remember for later. The rest of the army has still not quite fully caught on to what's happening yet. The horror of their situation hasn't yet set in. And more Corsair handbows bite the dust, and she completely misses once more. Might need a little bit of a tuning on the accuracy here. That's completely as intended. Triple shot into that incredibly clumped up group of Druki is exactly what we want to see. A little bit better of a hit. I think she's probably better against the large targets like cavalry. Witch Brew ripping them apart. We've got bats flown on in to try to take down this group of Dark Riders, but it's probably not the best use of them. No one else has really moved to intercept though, so we'll see. I'm going to draw them across the water to slow them down as much as possible and draw them away from likes of the Dark Riders and such. I will admit to forgetting we're up in this front line. It might be a little bit faster than Ostankya, so we're going to need to hope she can cleave her way back to friendly lines. Yeah, they are indeed a little bit faster, just by one. With charge speed, they'll be able to catch her. Spirit Bear going in. Now we've got the Mother completely surrounded. We're gonna kind of camp the Hag Witch out here, let her blast the shotguns in. She deals with one horseman. Overkill? I think not. Still blasting the Witch Crew through the back lines, though, just dealing as much damage with the clumped up units as we can. With the ethereal things in the woods, Ostankya has no trouble getting away. Kevin, spelled Grigor again, has it now arrived, and he's going to be taking a position slightly off on the flank to launch arrows at whoever he can. He's almost got a ballista style attack. Every time it hits, you can see the impact. It's pretty great. Still keep sending in their cavalry to try to bog Ostankya down so she can't escape, but you've got the things in the woods holding back the bulk of her army. Another great cast. She is up to 160 kills already. Easily my favorite Kislevite Lord. Even beating the likes of Boris. This poor guy here thinks his crossbow is superior. Fires 2 shots, and they both miss. Troy better next time there. Jethro. They still haven't even made it to our front lines, and they've lost a pretty good majority of their forces here. Got Kevin wading into the water now. We'll go ahead and take a look at our brand new Druzhina. What a cool looking unit. He definitely looks like he has had a hard life of I think these guys are either the head of the intelligence officers or they're just the nobility of the land. I thought that's what the boyars were. Let me know if you know the full this lore designation for the Drujinas. I thought they were the intelligence officers, but that's also the Akshina, so they're all disrupted now. We're dropping some Gulias for Mother Stanky. Did get a little bit overzealous here with our Hag Mother and got caught by 2 of the units of cavalry. Hopefully she can pull away from them, but the main body force is now going to be smashing into the Druki. See, you really don't want to let Stanky get shot up at all. She takes a lot of damage from missiles. Our Kislev warriors are also going to struggle quite a bit against the Black Ark Corsairs, but I'm hoping that 40 melee defense will hold them for the time being. Spiders are rushing into the back line. Sheena are doing their best to pepper the Thread Spears in bolts. They did lose a little bit of their accuracy at the highest end of their range, but it hasn't seemed to affect them too bad so far. The Woods fighting side by side with the Kislev warriors. The Corsairs don't know what hit them. Imagining the dishonor of being slain by a lowly human farmer would be more than most of these Druki can bear. Fighters did clump up in a little bit of unfortunate ways. There's not a lot of full surround here. Putting more damage on our spiders than we would have wanted. Getting back to our Hag Witch, who is running for dear life from all of the cavalry. We have decided to turn for the hills. Spider Swarm is so unnerving. Little hatchlings are not great. There are a few research options later on that will help them out. Such amazing animations coming out of the Elemental Incarnate. Just peppering the Lord with arrows, both from our Drujina and from the Akshina. Splishy splashy, but there's something in the water there after him. Knowing Ostankya, she's brought the thing from the trash compactor from Star Wars. And that's a victory. We've got one, of course, their handbow running away from these squad of peasants. Indeed. Alright, we lost a little bit of health there on the Great Mother and her Witch. Bats fell as well, but that's just fine. If anyone is going to take the losses, I would prefer it be the Batty Boys. We'll go ahead and get the extra spirit essence for executing those captives.
Struggle, my shadows make it almost painless.
Almost painless. Perfect. Scorpion's going to run for his life. Right, Stanky's got a Sword of Battle, which is not fantastic, but we'll take it. We've also got a Standard of the Empty Step, giving an assigned unit Vanguard deployment, which is going to be fine for himself, but we can switch that over to Ostankya to give her Vanguard.
Fear. It is strong
And now we'll
belief,
attack Arnheim
strong emotion,
while they are building up.
good for magic.
Probably a good idea. Who's defending this?
Waste my time.
3 Dark Shards only? I think we can handle 3 Dark Shards.
Druzhina,
Especially with our Druzhina
Leader
getting
of
up
Kislev's
great a bit. We could use the
warriors.
restock ability to give Ostankya more ammunition, I believe. We're at least going to try it.
Modern
Lika.
Ostankya.
Let's go Flock of Doom for some damage.
Gullible fools.
I do think... What does the Vengeance do?
The secret of
Silence
my cold
and damage?
It
What's
is
an
easy
area?
to discover.
This will be good because they
You
have a spellcaster, so we'll go Vengeance of
simply
Spirits
crawl
and
inside.
Fate of the Interlopers both. We'll
Here
take down
goes
Arnheim.
Trinkets. Ends justify means.
We'll have Evan give his... No, you know what? We'll keep him with his Kossars. He'll need them for his reinforcing.
Still,
We'll have them all
their
roll together as a
futures.
team. Had to have your future stolen, Scorpia. Alright, let's go ahead and continue the siege.
Consume them in shadows.
Jump into our Witch's Hut. Build up the Whiff of Madness.
The heart of a wolf and berserk.
Evan, you go ahead and join up.
With lust.
If
Their
it honors
necks are
also.
close enough to taste.
By my
Fuck, he's
command,
got all sorts
we
to talk
march.
about. Gonna have us a snack of Dark Elf. I bet they taste a bit like licorice.
Feed the
Alright, let's go ahead and drop the Whiff of Madness actually on their Lord, because we saw it activated immediately there. So she should just start dirtling around in circles instead of doing anything useful. And that should really be all the curses we need here. Still thinks we're going to be a Valiant Feat. Actually, you know what? Let's use one more on these Dark Shards. That way there's only 2 units we really have to worry about. The others will just be sprinting at us like fools. Right. Wrath of Kislev brought to bear. Actually, I would like to see the map first. Okay, perfect. So this is the area here that doesn't have any kind of tower defenses, so that's where we shall strike. And our easily most difficult battle begins. I just noticed they have a little bear paw on the back of some of their shirts. Yes, indeed, the bear follows us everywhere. I do also love that some of these are very clearly just farm implements that have been kind of extra weaponified, like this pitchfork with an axe attached. That's fantastic. Making halberds the way Kislev intended. So we are going to send Ostankya and the Witch right on in to start doing some damage. This is actually going to be a pretty challenging fight here. We don't have a lot of armor, and they have quite a few garrison defenses they can hide behind. Ostankya already takes a fair bit of damage from the spears coming out of the towers. On the enemy side of the field, they are all stacked up front with their crossbows, as they should be. Their lord is already rampaging out, though. Get a little bit too much dark wine. You going? He has no idea. Which is great, because we aren't going to be having to deal with nearly as many of the spells coming out of her sorceress fingertips. Incarnate is now going to be the target of the towers, but hopefully he is in close enough where most of that damage isn't going to matter. Drop down the damage spell we just acquired, which is throwing out the Spectral Ravens. Looks like it's very similar to a Block of Doom effect, but it's spectral. The plan initially was to send the small spiders wide to the different gates, try to have them nom through. It does look like, as you'll see in a little bit, a bit of a spoiler, CA has changed the health values by quite a large margin, so you can't just chew through side gates with the likes of Warhounds any longer. Which is great, but it makes things a little bit more difficult for us. Amazing Witch Brew bounces back through the lines. I don't think it killed any of their units, but it dropped a lot of the health. Which makes them much more fragile when it's eventually time to actually flash swords. Since Ostankya has Siege Attacker herself, I figured we can try to double it up and get through these gates faster, but it is going to be a slow and grueling process. Since they have actually brought most of their crossbows down off the wall, I decided to send our units forward. And the Hag Mother has, or Hag Witch rather, has gone around to the left side to help out with trying to get to this gate. It's gonna take them a long time, though. Oh, the AI has done the thing where they've opened up the gate up just for Ostankya, because the gatehouse isn't nowhere near destroyed. This is the rampaging lord who has brought it right on out the gates to get chopped up. Poor soul. Cave Bats are going in for kind of a, we'll call it a hell dive mission, where they are going to stop these crossbows for a moment. It's not necessarily for surviving. They're not necessarily expecting to win, just to stop them from firing those crossbows for a moment. The Ostankya is already very unhealthily low health in hit points. A little bit of mushroom soup will help a bit, but not enough to matter. We need to get in there with our actual soldiers and start doing damage. Because they did the cheeky thing where they opened up the gates, even if it was on accident, no one else is allowed in, so Ostankya just has to run for her life for a bit. Spirit Crows out, ripping apart the unfortunate Druki. Also would silence them if they had any kind of effects to them. We've got Kevin and his Kossars moving on towards the battlefield now. Definitely need the reinforcements. I've moved Ostankya into the barricade platform, because usually when you're engaging it in melee, they'll send their missiles through to try to stop you, even if they're not for melee. They didn't this time though, so we're gonna disengage and just try to do it as much damage as we can. Stopping her for a moment is death, so we can't. Not even for a second. As you can see, this isn't working out at all. Little spiders they're not getting through the gates. Would be cool, however, to see that spiders can perhaps crawl over walls. Maybe give them the effect similar to ladders, where it takes not all of their vigor like the ladder does. Maybe a bit, they can just crawl right up the walls. Be a cool effect. That's our Demon Wendigo. Rips them asunder. We get some slow-mo shots of spiders versus dread spears. Don't really want to be bogged down at this entry point that much, because we do still want all of these fast movers to be zipping around and getting their charge bonuses on as many of the enemy units as they can. Something like the big Wendigo here is much better as a stay in one spot and cause some problems. Being Druki all over the place. Glad to see the hotkeys are actually working in those first couple battles. I was trying to use them and they were not working at all. You still have the barricade platforms we have to get through before actually getting to any of the juicy Druki inside. We are sacrificing kind of the last of our cave bats to do so, especially when Ostankya blows them up. Got a couple missile troops left, but we've done a pretty good job of shutting them down. All of the damage going to Ostankya herself for one of the other single entities. Gates are down, which means we send in the beasts. Everyone who was on the side targets, I'm going to... Oh, I had them switch and charge straight through the center here. Oh, sweet. Showing the true meaning of war. These are very brave. Computer crossbows here, though. Spiders swarm in. We just want them to shut down any of the missile troops they have left. If they're engaged in melee, they won't be shooting. The other Leak Soar is hanging out on the other side there. The Kossars have finally arrived. I think it took me a moment to actually get them engaged, though, so they kind of hang out outside the walls, doing nothing for a time. This is a huge bat, good grief. I'm a bit more understanding why these things are dangerous. It's just a swarm of normal bats. I don't see how they can kill anyone. Mad bats. Oh, he's a beast, isn't he? Flock of Doom raining down the whole time. Some of our Kislev warriors are a little bit confused. Oh, not sure what happened to him. You will be remembered, sir. Very unorganized battle. We are pulling ahead. We really needed to keep Ostankya away from friendly lines, though, because these explosions on the normal Kislevite warriors are horrifyingly effective. The baby spider swarm has now arrived in single file line, as you do. These battles have really shown how ineffective the small spiders are, unless they are in extremely overwhelming numbers. So we're probably only going to use them in side armies, like probably here with Kevin, because they cost so little. See, they just don't do very much damage. And they tend to die in droves. Unlike the things in the wood. They're an absolute menace. There's no escape, Druki. Only the void. And with the explosions of all of their towers and other buildings, that means we have claimed victory. Grief. Show us one of the other, now just Birds of Doom. That's a different one. Still angry birds, but that is an attack animation we need to happen more often. That blasting dude's all over. 360 degrees. Oh, that's only when she's chasing people. That's a fantastic one. Victory Ostankya. Alright, that one got a little bit more spooky. We did end up losing our cave bats, and Ostankya got very, very low on health. But now with a little bit of a mushroom soup, she will heal up just fine. So we can go ahead and sack the settlement for 19 spirit essence. It's not like we can really spend it on anything anyways, so we will go ahead and simply occupy Arnheim, so I'm not having to rebuild anything.
This shall shelter us well for a time.
Hopefully we've got kind of a nice looking settlement here to start.
Storm is
Let's see.
coming.
Arnheim starts itself with an anchorage. We get a little bit of income and growth. 2 turns before we can turn it into a Stanitsa, which is going to be a pretty aggressive priority for us.
Mother Ostankya.
Right, well at this point we could have started adding in the giant spiders by now, which is good to have note of. Let's go ahead and just throw in a couple more hatchlings, which they were really meh in that fight. No armor piercing. These Kislevite warriors at least have armor piercings. You know what? I'm gonna have a core of 4 Kislevite warriors, and then the hatchlings are very, very cheap, so that's why they're useful. We'll go 4 warriors for our up front. We'll probably go 2 or 4 Akshina ambushers, and then everything else will be beasts
Drużyna.
of a different kind.
Drużyna, stand ready.
Druzhina. Go ahead and give you inspiring presence to start upgrading yourself and your men. We'll have spread control here for Talika. We're definitely going to need it.
Just an old woman.
Embodiment of the forest, 100% more ammunition, and then woodsmen for the whole army. I think this is the call. We have some items I can pass out. Nope, and everything is going to Ostankya as it should. Let's go ahead and take the standard of the empty step as well. That way we can give her Vanguard deployment.
More than just mere boggles.
Glad you have so much replenishment. That is fantastic.
Kislev's strength is its endurance.
Cool. Well, I am very soon going to destroy this Earthen Hollow, so as soon as... You know what, let's do it now. Let's get this switched over to a growth building. That way we can kind of speed along to Ostankya's hut, which will give us a nice bit of spirit essence in return. Drop how much it costs to actually create hexes, or cast the hexes, give us some income, and then more relations with Kislev. Oh, we've already used our trinket for the turn. Fair enough, fair enough. Alright then. Perhaps we can
Enchantress.
start making some deals with Tyranok?
You may approach.
We can. So Sir Thara will go ahead and take a
You may
trade
approach
agreement
and
with
make your request.
300 gold.
It shall be done.
Sounds good.
Your desire?
As we move along
Cruel
towards, I think, military access, we
sorceress.
should gain a trinket from them as well. Hopefully they survive long enough for Noctilus not to wipe them out, but even if we have to throw down with Noctilus, all of our lads get more melee attack. He spreads corruption. Cool. Alright, and speaking of, here's Gotrek and Felix. So, Kevin, you are going to run back
Champion
and
of the motherland.
recruit up the Dawi. Recent conversation in the local tavern has been centered around a pair of powerful mercenaries rumored to be traveling through the nearby provinces. Famous dwarf slayer known as Gotrek Gurnison and his human companion and chronicler Felix Jaeger. And I do need to start reading these books. Apparently there are some fantastic books that kind of detail their journeys throughout the different lands, and they are definitely worth the read. I need to do so myself. Some of the Empire consider Gotrek and Felix to be outlaws, but the duo are known to have slain some of the most insurmountable adversaries known to the forces of order. Should they be persuaded to join your cause, they will be truly formidable allies. Gotrek and Felix are going to be a staple of most of our campaigns here.
My right.
Put you into March Dance, and since we can't quite reach, we'll stay in the Forest of Arnheim, just to help out with the control here. Going
Commander of the
negative,
soldiers.
positive 1.
Spirits,
Negative 1 is
I
the
see.
correct number there. Let's have one more battle with Gyro Hoos.
Feed the forest rage.
Delicious lamb wrap. Oh, that's nothing at all. Close victory with medium casualties, though, huh? We don't like that so much. Let's go bully us. Some mask wearing crazy. We'll go Vanguard deploy on Ostankya. And go bully some Dark Elves. Let's get them. And this is going to be another one of those battles that's more of a nightmare for our foes than anything else, but if you treat every single fight like the enemy is a threat, you will lose far less of your own soldiers, and campaigns will Thank you for it. Actually did a really good job of avoiding that first blast, but we've got some of the good old dreaded Wendigo skull coming down. Spirit birds are super effective on Druki, as one would expect. They are going to be sprinting straight on over towards our line. They know that's probably the only way of actually dealing damage to us, because their soldiers are better than ours overall. Lady Dreadlord moving on in. She thinks with the power of Lady Boss, she's going to deal with the Elemental Incarnate. And look, I have full faith in you. It's gonna go great. He is a monster, isn't he? Spiders descend from the woods, Ostankya's dancing around to the back line, everyone's having a great time. Except for the enemies. I keep thinking they might want to chase Ostankya, but the second they do, they turn their back to the Yakshina. The twin carnage of elemental beasts and their corporeal brothers. They seem to deal damage all the same. Ghost fists hurt just as bad as real ones. Yakshina. I'm not sure if we've kind of changed the Yakshina around in lore to being like children that have been gifted to Ostankya, or that's the Kislevite warriors. I'll have to dig deeper into the lore myself, but from the story, there's 3 brothers, the short story we have for Ostankya, that are all in the woods, and I think they're meant to be Yakshina. They may not be, they may just be normal Kislevites that are out in the woods being spooky, but I do believe they're Yakshina. Most of the Drugi are already running for the hills. It's basically just Blair Witch all the time for them. They picked on Kislev one too many times, and now we've unleashed the 3-story tall Wendigo. Baby Spider's looking for some juicy tender thighs. And Hagwitch can chase off her group too. I think that's probably the white flag. I doubt there's any Druki that are brave enough to continue the brawl. The bones shall break all the same. And that went about as well as I could have hoped. Poor old Gyro Huscut drop-kicked back into the sea. Her and her poor men. All of you shall be excellent for our hexes. We could steal a lot of gold from the settlement. Kinda want to. Let's sack it. I was going to go ahead and just finish off our province here this turn, but since we got so much gold out of there, let's go ahead and be a bully. Ostankya go into march stance, come back into friendly territory to replenish.
Drużyna.
No, we should have kept the Drużyna in normal stance so we could recruit.
More warriors to
That's
defend
alright.
Kislev.
We've got a lot of gold sitting in our treasury now, which we can use. As long as things want to work out for me. Or do you want to go ahead and use it for the farmstead? I think it's probably a better idea to grab the palisade here. Make sure no enemies come down and claim our important landmark settlement. Though I would prefer the growth. We've got the anchorage here to give us what we would be getting from our farms.
Who calls?
Right, wildlings. Resistance and charge bonus for things in the woods and our forest critters. Absolutely.
Gullible fools!
And Wood Warden. We've already got Woodsman. Let's go for one with nature for the extra growth, since we are in friendly territory, at least for this turn.
This is why Kislev endures.
Do business.
Bring in the harvest.
Alright, let's grab our curse here for our 5. Want to make sure we're grabbing that every single turn. Check diplomacy since we're on legendary, that is. We are not able to save unless we end the turn. So we'll go ahead and that here in a second. That's all we can get up to for this turn. We definitely need to get to where we can grab another board here really soon. Wait, seriously? Or a hero is what I was meaning to say. We can get a Frost Maiden already, as long as we have the research for it. That doesn't seem right. Not even a little bit. Alright then, let's give it the turn. Turn again falls to us. It looked like it was trying to kick off an event, but maybe not. Right, either way, we can turn back around with Ostankya and just go ahead and claim the Moon Shard now. Hopefully they spent the time repairing. That'd be great. Yeah, they may not have, though. So they've got a brand new spellcaster, and she is now moved from existence. Lost a lot, though. Gross. We'll go ahead and just claim this for Ostankya. Now we have a lovely 4 settlement province under our control. Thank you, Gossars. Leakholds now bites the dust. And we've got the Wolfhearts. No man could fail to tremble in fear once the wolves of winter descend. If any of your Akshina ambushers are crazy, the Wolfhearts are no exception.
Commander of the soldiery, if it
Alright, Kevin.
honors Urs,
Go ahead and recruit up Gotrek and
by my
Felix.
command, we march.
Managed to meet the legendary duo Gotrek and Felix while they travel through the province. Over some tankers of ale, Gotrek reveals to you that he is seeking the most heroic death possible. Felix suggests that he and Gotrek join your cause. Slayer seems unenthusiastic at first, but soon persuaded that you can help him achieve the great doom that he craves. Felix tells you privately, really he welcomes the safety and numbers our forces will provide. Welcome, you two champions.
Gotrek, journey son. Got a bit hairy there, my lad, but you fought well.
It is a mystery how we overcame such odds, but I am sure I can articulate something.
We did it, so we've got them on our team for 30 turns, and I don't think they cost us anything at all.
My quest is doomed.
Completely free. If we were to give them any troops, though, they would still cost upkeep, like normal. I'm actually thinking Gotrek and Felix would be great to just bring with Ostankya as and more or less a pair of extra heroes, legendary heroes, to just be traveling alongside, and fantastic swordsmen at that. So we'll have them go into march.
Keep up.
And try to go roll with Ostankya.
Off we go.
Off we go. Meanwhile, Kevin's gonna hold up the Leakhold fortress and start recruiting in. Ooh, we can't get any more spiders because we kicked the building out. All right, let's grab a Kislevite warrior or two. They're a little bit pricier than the arrow Kossars, which is really fair for the armor piercing they have. We'll grab the Stenitsa here. And that. It's likely going to be about all we can get up to for now. Indeed. Let's go ahead and hop in Root Marcher here. Now that she's got 8 skill points, we are going to go ahead and start saving them. And then we are going to use them all on... Well, you know what? Let's wait once we have 10. That way we can get 2 of these. We can get both Zorka's Wrath, and then one that maybe gives us Troll, Winds of Magic. Yeah, probably the Mother's Rally here. That way we can get Hag Mothers in, or Hag Witches, that is, in all provinces. Then we get 2 extra for our capacity. We can send one of them right over to Kislev and start building up relations with the motherland.
Just mere baubles.
Perfect. Well, that's going to be all the time I've got for today. I hope you all enjoyed part 1 of our Mother Ostankya cinematic campaign. If you all enjoyed today's video, remember to leave a like for the Light God and a sub for the Subthone. I'll see you all in the next one.